Hello and welcome into another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. We've got a What's Poppin' edition of our show for you today. And today, we're going to take it a little bit of a different direction. We're not going to talk about the latest news stories. Instead, we're going to take a moment to do something we've done a couple of times and talk all about the MCU with another edition of State of the MCU. We're going to talk about what's happening now. We're going to talk about what's happening soon. We're going to talk about what's way down the road. All things MCU, where things are at. We're going to give our takes on it. And we know the MCU is a hot topic. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Jodie Foster hates it. Hot off the presses today. Jodie Foster, not a fan. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk all about it and get you guys caught up on our opinion of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's get into it.
Is Popcorn for Breakfast, presented by St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Now, here are your hosts, Cam and Kurt.
Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Popcorn for Breakfast. We are so glad to be here on a What's Poppin' edition of the show. Kind of.
What?
We're not doing the latest movie news and TV news. We do that from time to time. There's really not a whole lot that's buzzing around right now.
What?
I know. Hold on, Kirk. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I'm with you.
Did you send the memo?
No. I informed you just now.
Okay, I guess.
So throw your notes out the window. They're garbage now. That's the sound of them going away. For those of you listening to the podcast, don't even bother checking the YouTube to see if you actually threw away notes. That was the actual sound of it.
No, check the YouTube as well.
No, don't do it. Trust me.
And subscribe and like.
Oh, please subscribe. Yes. For those of you who are with us on YouTube, we're glad to have you. If you're listening to us in podcast form, also glad to have you there. I love this topic. I know some people are tired of the MCU. It makes sense. They should be. Because, like, if we're tired of it, Kirk, I think everybody's tired of it, right? And I think we are kind of tired of it.
Yeah, definitely the superhero fatigue is there.
It's real.
Because there's so many of them now.
It's too much. There was too much going on. And I've said it every single time we've done State of the MCU. It's hilarious to me that everybody watched Marvel release their slate of movie and TV projects.
Yeah.
And everybody sat there and went, that is too much. And it was like we were all right and Marvel was wrong. And like for a movie studio, and I just got done reading the Marvel book, the Reign of the MCU, which I highly recommend to anybody. I'll put the link in the description. For a studio that revolutionized Hollywood, literally, that is not an overstatement. They literally changed the way that movies are made, for better and worse. For them to be so good at what they did for so long and to make what many are calling like a massive, massive series of errors with this slate of recent TV and movies is fascinating. It's crazy that everybody, like all of us, like, you know, couch quarterbacks were able to say, this is a bad idea. And we were like, but they'll probably figure it out. And they just didn't.
Yeah.
And it was a bad idea.
Yeah, because for so long, there were only a couple of fumbles with the MCU. Notoriously, Thor 2.
Yep.
Iron Man 3, garbage.
What? I mean, some people like that movie.
Sorry for you.
I like Shane Black. I don't love that movie, but I do love Shane Black.
I like Shane Black, too. I do not like Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
But I feel like there were so many wins of that initial, 25 or whatever, and they're like, that's fine. The ratio is good. And then this came out, they're like, all right, well, there's a fumble. There's another fumble with Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Not good. And then they kept losing the ball over and over and over again. So.
Right.
But we're going to chat about today.
We are. We're going to get into all of it. We're going to talk about all of the projects that have come out post-Endgame, what would be called to date Phase 4 and Phase 5, which is still in progress if you're having trouble keeping up with that. We're also having trouble keeping up with it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about which ones are a net positive for the MCU, which ones are a net negative, give our takes on that. And then we're going to talk about that article that came out a few weeks ago, kind of called like Crisis in Marvel, or Marvel in Crisis. And some of the things that are happening there, and then some of the more recent developments. So we'll save our spoilers. And by spoilers, I mean like really the Marvels and Loki.
Yeah.
If you're not caught up on those, that's what I would watch out for. I feel like anything before those is fair game, but we'll save any like the Marvels and Loki spoilers for that final segment, and we'll be sure to give you warnings heading into that.
Yep.
But everything else we'll chat about. Let's start, Kirk, with where Marvel is today, the actual state of the MCU. Here's how we're going to do this.
Okay.
You put together these things.
I did.
Which are just so cute.
What do you call this when you're giving a speech? Like visual something? It's
visual aid.
Visual aid, right? Like an actual visual aid.
This is a multimedia presentation now.
So we've got these beautiful handprints. They're free templates, so don't come for me.
No,
I made sure they
it's
were
free. Public domain.
And they're little thumbs ups, and we're going to use them for thumbs ups and thumbs downs. So you can't do mid. No movie is mid. You can't do this today, Cam.
No, it's only going to count, I think, and maybe I'll build a little graphic on Photoshop. I'm already signing myself up for too many things. The list is I have to put the link in the description for the book.
Yes.
And now I have to make a graphic on Photoshop. Maybe you can make it.
On the fly.
But like, if both of us thumbs up it, I think it's great. If we split the decision, that's mid. And if it's 2 thumbs down, then it sucks.
Okay. I like that.
Let's start post-Endgame, because this is really when things started. This is when things started to kind of get rocky, and all of us were kind of in denial about what was going on at Marvel, and we were kind of thinking, I think some of our scores of those movies need to be called into question. We'll talk about that too, but this was the period where Marvel legitimately was trying to have a Marvel project either in theaters or new on TV the full calendar year of 2021. So let's get into it. Let's start with the first film of Phase 4. We're going to go through Phase 4 films. Okay. And we're deciding if they're a net positive or net negative for the MCU. Not just if they're good movies, but did they help the MCU?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. First, Black Widow.
You ready? Are we doing this at the same time?
Let's do it at the same time.
On 3 or 1, 2, 3, go.
Or just say go.
Okay. Black Widow.
Yeah.
Go.
Thumbs down.
Easy.
At the time, I think I gave this a more generous score than I was expecting. Listen, guys, it had been a long time. And when we get a chance to retcon movie scores, I'm coming for the Phase 4 Marvel movies. Because there weren't very many movies coming out at that time, and it skewed everything. Like, I was watching Tiger King, okay?
Well, everyone.
I was watching terrible things. Not just Tiger King was actually awesome, but lots of bad pandemic content.
Yeah.
So I think I gave that movie like a 7 something. It is not a 7.
No.
It's like maybe a 5.
Maybe. I'm
the
curious.
editing is atrocious. Everything bad about pandemic productions, that movie is.
Yeah. It was the first one, really.
Yeah.
Like the first big one.
Yeah, it's bad.
There's
it's
some
bad.
terrible CGI in that movie.
Yeah, and like, why did that movie come out when it did? It's not helpful to the ongoing story.
No.
They should have done it earlier, and they felt bad about not doing it earlier, and so they released it, and it was unnecessary.
And then they got sued.
So there you have it.
An all-around nightmare.
All right, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Okay.
Ready? Go. Yes. Are you up? Yes.
I'm up.
2 thumbs ups. I love Shang-Chi. I think that movie rocks. I think I gave it like a 9. Probably should have checked our scores before you got it. I don't really care.
Someone's going back while we're listening, like, you gave it a 7.
I feel like you were softer on Shang-Chi than I was.
Yeah.
On score. Where, with the benefit of hindsight, how are you feeling about that movie?
I feel confident in whatever my score was.
Yeah.
I remember one of my biggest gripes was there is, in the final battle, there's a lot of CGI errors with the water. And I understand water is very difficult to CGI, but if you're going to do it and you're going to go big, you have to do it right. So,
yeah.
I feel good about it.
I think the character, the story is really good. Mm-hmm. Like, Shang-Chi is a good character. Them reincorporating the Mandarin back into it, that was a difficult thing for them because the Mandarin in general is a really famous villain, but is also based on a pretty racist stereotype. Mm-hmm. So they had to really walk that tightrope, and they had to bring Trevor Slattery, that character played by Ben Kingsley, back into the fold because he was the Mandarin. And so there was a little bit of like MCU baggage dragging that down a little bit, but they actually made it work very nicely. And I think that Shang-Chi and Simu Liu is a good addition to the Avengers overall.
It is. We haven't seen him in 16 years.
No, we'll never see him again. And that post-credit scene where it's like, when you use the rings, it made this echo through time. And we've never seen anything like it. And like Captain Marvel's there and Mark Ruffalo's there.
His arm is broken too.
Yes, from the snap.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Still from the snap.
I just thought he didn't have.
No, it's from the snap. It's because his arm got fried whenever he snapped the gauntlet.
That's right. Okay, man, it's been a while.
Who knows what that even means? Still, we have no idea.
No clue.
So, Eternals. This is a toughie for the MCU. I have to think about this. For the MCU. Ready? Go. I'm down.
There's the difference.
Kirk's up. Listen, this movie gets too much hate, I think. I think it's better than people think it is. I think it's way big for its britches. It's really ambitious. Mm-hmm. Probably too ambitious. But it looks really good. And for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's some cool stuff. And I think Kit Harington as the Black Knight is a huge build for the future. And hopefully those characters come back. There's some good character stuff going on there.
Yeah, wonderful character stuff. I think that's what brought me to it, and still brings me a good score and a good feeling about Eternals, is because the acting is out of this world. Maybe one of the top 5 of all, now 50 films and TV properties of the MCU. It's really just incredible to watch. I absolutely love the meme of it's been 10 movies and we still no one's mentioned this giant ice sculpture.
Yeah. The giant hand
emerging from Earth. Like, no one has referenced it. No one's had to walk around it to get to work or anything.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that meme. And honestly, if they never mention it again,
it'd be hilarious.
I would love that so much.
There are things that have popped up in the MCU over time that have been mentioned and then never again. Just like dead, gone, forgotten.
It's impressive. I love it.
All right, Spider-Man No Way Home. Easy. Go.
Boom.
Yeah. This one rocks.
Stay up.
I think the most fun I've ever had in a movie theater, period, bar none.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like electric. And as a Spider-Man fan, like it was awesome.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
I have this urge to tell you right now. I've been keeping this from you.
Oh, no. I'm so scared.
I was spoiled on the appearances of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Wasn't everybody though?
I actually saw partial scenes of their entrances. So when you looked at me when Andrew Garfield popped in, I'm like, but I'd seen it already.
Oh no. Why?
It spoiled me. It was an accident.
I don't believe
I was on Twitter. And
you had to be looking for it.
It appeared because it was like a troll comment of appearances. And I was like, oh, this is probably fake. I'm like, oh, this is real. And I never told you that, Cam.
Wow.
And I feel like I have to in this moment.
You're a liar. You should have taken it to your grave. You dirtbag. I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. That's what
every episode you're gonna be like, hey, remember that time?
Hey, remember that time you held something from me for so long?
I just didn't want to ruin the magic for you because the magic was ruined for me.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
What if I would have been like moments before?
Like, hey, here comes Andrew Garfield. I'd be like,
there's going to be a spinny Doctor Strange
like, we all knew they were in the movie.
Yeah.
But we also didn't. There was like 2% of like, they might not be.
Right. That they could have been like.
It was like 98% they're in, but it was like 2% they could not show up.
They could have copped out with like a security video of them like running by of something, but they were fully integrated.
They were. So it worked out. All right, next one. Tough one. Couple toughies coming up here. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. 3.
I'm ready.
2, 1, go. Yeah. Kirk, go.
Bad. Just bad. It should have been so much more fun. I feel like this one most likely, we'll never know, but I feel like this was executive ran into the ground. And I don't think that we're on a first name basis, Sam Raimi.
Sure.
And I don't think he got the full scope of what he wanted to do.
Yep.
I mean, we rage for the Snyder cut, but I want the Raimi cut of this.
I don't know. Because here's the thing. Feige and Raimi go way back.
They
worked together a couple times on the original Spider-Man movies. And I feel like Feige, knowing how Feige operates to the extent that I do from reading that book, I feel like he got carte blanche on that. To an extent, he still had the MCU baggage, which is becoming heavier and heavier with each film, which I think is part of the problem. But he, within the parameters, I think he could do whatever he wanted. But I think that movie, so I gave that movie a somewhat favorable score because I think that there's fun stuff in it. I think I gave it like a 7 something. I probably would not give it that now. That's how I feel about many, many, many of the Phase 4s. Mm-hmm. My scores were too high. But America Chavez, bad. The way that they integrated that character, the performance by Xochitl Gomez, not good. Not good. Rachel McAdams, not good in that movie.
No.
Either. There's a lot of weirdness around that movie. How do you feel about the fact that like it was originally meant to come out before No Way Home? Do you think that changes it at all for you? Like there's, originally in No Way Home, Doctor Strange wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
America Chavez was supposed to be there.
Oh, I didn't
blowing
know
holes.
that.
Yeah, because that's why Ned has the magical power ability. Oh. It was going to be America Chavez blowing holes in the multiverse, and that's how the Spider-Man's interwove into the same.
I like that it was Ned.
People hate that. People hate that it was Ned.
They do?
People hate Kirk. People hate that it was Ned.
How did I not know this?
That people hate it?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, people hate that it was Ned. They're like, it makes no sense. And I'm like, it doesn't, but Ned is also a no-sense character. Ned is a nonsensical character.
Yeah.
And like, Doctor Strange is already in the movie, like, screw it. It's whatever. I don't lose any sleep over Ned somehow being magical.
No,
that
who
doesn't
cares?
bother me at all.
It doesn't matter at all. It's fun. Why not?
It's funny. It's stupid.
I had no idea about that controversy.
It is a controversy.
That's incredible. And America Chavez was not the character was never fully formed. So.
Yeah, they should have spent more time on that, taken more care with it, because I think she's a really important character in the comics and should be in this multiverse saga that they're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a fumbled landing.
One thing that I hated about No Way Home is that from the trailer and the marketing, we got almost that entire scene of Doctor Strange in the trailer.
Yeah.
So that was a faux pas. Like. Just like with releasing too many clips and stuff ahead of time, I just wish that they would just stop that.
Agree. I 100% agree with that. There's way too much info ahead of time. Okay, next up, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Easy.
Ready, set, go. Down. I'm also down. I was way too nice to this movie. I think I even gave Natalie Portman Scene Stealer, which is really bad because she was not good. I rewatched it recently.
Yeah.
But I felt like she understood the tone of the movie. The tone of the movie was just stupid. They kind of ruined Thor a little bit in this movie.
They made him too stupid.
They made it too stupid.
Yeah.
And I realized that upon rewatch. We knew this at the time. The whole Zeus, Hercules, that situation, abysmal.
Yeah.
Abysmal. And they took some liberties with like Valkyrie's character, and they took some liberties. It didn't fully work. It was a little too goofy. It was fun in some ways, but I don't know. Where are you at?
Yeah, I feel like if you want to have that much goofiness, then it needs to be a special presentation.
Yes, it needs to like exist outside of the continuity in a way.
Like,
right.
Oh, it's there. Kind of like Guardians Holiday Special.
Right.
Very fun, very great, but it is very silly. Like, sillier than the Guardians ever are. And it took me I watched it like 3 times. And
yeah.
And by the 3rd time, I was like, all right, I get it. Because it's not part of the main story. Like, this is for fun. This is fan service.
Yes.
So yeah, the silliness, the stupidity of Thor, unacceptable.
That's something I probably didn't weigh whenever we first watched it, was like, they're going to have to use this character going forward, and like, what even is this character now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then,
it's very odd.
And then at the end, again, spoilers, just remember, it's been a while.
With his daughter?
Oh yeah, like when Christian Bale lay dying, and he's got Natalie Portman there in whatever kind of realm that they're sitting in, and he's like, "Oh, there's the real Thor that people like him, like acting."
Right.
Then it's like, okay, who are you? Who are you? It was a total identity crisis, that whole movie.
Is the daughter going to be a Young Avenger?
Probably because it is Chris Hemsworth's real daughter.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think he would want to, knowing him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would sign her up for that. I don't know. That movie has got some splaining to do in the future.
Yeah.
All right. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, last Phase 4 film. Ready, set, go. Yeah, I like that movie.
Very good.
Good movie. And the Ironheart stuff felt a little unnecessary, and the suit sucks. The Ironheart suit sucks. Mm-hmm. And the Namor stuff was good, but weird. But overall, very good.
Very good.
Very good.
So far for the films, Eternals, which was the only divisive...
The only one we split on?
Item we had. That's correct. Not bad. Not bad.
All right, let's buzz through shows.
All right.
WandaVision.
Oh.
Go.
Easy.
Thumbs up.
Boom.
Yeah. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The finale was not great. That was because like they didn't even know what the finale was going to be.
Yeah.
Until the end. So
shocking.
They're like making it up on the fly.
This is $100 million project. So let's pretend
they had to decide which way they were going to go. Yeah. Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Easy. Ready,
set, go. I'm down. I'm down on this.
I'm also down. Not down like I like it. Down like I hate it.
Yeah. I didn't think it was very good. Anthony Mackie as Cap, though, is
great.
Good.
Absolutely. The characterization is right.
Yes.
The script for that series was terrible.
And the show itself is pointless outside of being a vehicle for advancing him.
I have a couple of Falcon, Captain America, and Winter Soldier comics,
nice.
but when it's Steve Rogers. And then I also have
Sam Wilson, Captain America.
Sam Wilson, Falcon.
Oh, nice.
And Captain America fighting with his crazy, crazy costume.
Oh, I love that costume.
Big V-neck all the way to the crotch.
Headband.
The headband. He's like walking like right out of a disco. It looks like.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it's great. That's what they should have gone with for the show. Loki,
season 1.
Don't even.
Boom.
So good. Loki season 1. What If? Does What If count?
What If does count because they are coming with the second season.
Yeah, I'm anti What If. It should be so much more fun than it is.
It's not fun at all.
It's not that fun. And the finale was a mess because there was one character they just didn't have an episode for.
Yeah.
Due to COVID.
Due to
COVID. And it's like, what, you thought you could just slide that past us? That like we don't even have an origin for this character?
No.
That's silly.
Terrible.
Silliness. Hawkeye.
Let's go.
I'm pro Hawkeye.
Me too, man.
And the fans hate Hawkeye. And I think the fans are a bunch of buttheads for hating Hawkeye.
I think they're wrong. However, that show did us dirty because when it was releasing right around the same time as No Way Home.
No Way Home.
You have Hawkeye falling into Rockefeller Square.
I know, Rockefeller Center.
And Spider-Man in the trailer swooping right over it. It's
I know.
Where is the crossover? It was perfect.
I bet it was one of those things that they thought about doing and they wanted it to be possible, but it couldn't happen. So many things I'm learning about the MCU are like, let's build towards this maybe as a possibility because Spidey is owned by Sony, right?
Yeah.
So there's lots of, the rights to his movie and TV rights are owned by Sony. There's lots of complexity around that. So I wonder if they were like, dude, we're going to have him swing into the finale. And then they were like, no, you can't do that.
Even if he like helped him for like 1 second and like kept going like, sorry, Clint, super busy, gotta go. Like that would be fun, right?
Yeah, it would be fun.
And you don't need him to take over the series because you always got to balance that. Like, are they going to swoop in and now they're the hero because they have more powers, blah, blah, blah. But I really, really am upset about that.
I agree.
To my grave.
Kate Bishop, great. And the low stakes, fun, all of it. Maya being introduced as Echo.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stuff going on there. Kingpin returning. Good stuff.
Come on.
All right, Moon Knight. Ready, set, go.
Love.
Also love.
I should have made heart visual aids.
It's a great origin.
It is.
It's a great origin. Miss Marvel.
Ooh.
Ready, set.
I'm gonna close my eyes. Ready?
Go. Down. I'm down.
Oh, I did it wrong.
Oh, you're up? Are you actually up?
I'm actually down.
Okay, your thumb's down.
I'm a mess. Yes, I'm also down.
I'm pro Iman Vellani. I'm anti that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First episode, great.
Though she's gotta zip it because the fans are annoyed with her.
Oh.
Because they want to be annoyed with her because her character is a little bit like that kind of like fangirl annoying trope. But they keep because the media knows that she loves the Marvel stuff and is like actually into it and like writes comics and stuff like that. They keep asking for her opinion on Marvel stuff. Mm-hmm. And so there's all these articles with her opinion. And I don't think any of them are bad, but there's too many of them out there right now. So the fans are starting to be like, all right, shut up. I disagree with that, but I'm just saying she needs, I'm worried about her.
Yeah, let her talk. But I did hear the little brief blip about her fighting with Kevin Feige. She tried to make it sound playful about like, oh, Earth, what Earth are we really at on the sacred timeline, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want you to fight with Kevin Feige. I want you to be united.
Yeah. She's right, though.
On what Earth it is, yeah.
Yeah, because he says it's Earth 616, and it cannot be.
No. Well, isn't it 1999-99?
No, that's a different one.
Well, that's confusing because that's what they say in Across the Universe.
Across the Spider-Verse?
No, Across the Universe with the Beatles movie back in the early 2000s. Yes, Across the Spider-Verse, I messed up.
Yeah, they call it that.
Yeah.
1999999 or 99999.
Yeah, maybe it's to prove that there is no universal classification.
I don't know. It's a mess. He needs to stop saying it's 616 because it can't be.
Maybe that's the trick. And he's going to be like, gotcha.
I don't know.
With finger guns.
Finger guns. Okay, last one, She-Hulk. Ready, set, go.
No mistakes here.
Fart noise.
Garbage.
I watched 2 episodes of that show, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. And then I watched the finale because I heard about the Kevin thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's not go meta. Let's not go that meta. Mm-hmm. I don't like that.
You don't need Kevin invited into the movie.
Yeah.
The show.
It was a mess. And it looked like garbage. Yeah. I think that was my main problem with it, honestly, is that it looked bad.
And when they showed Hulk's son.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Youch.
Ouch.
Yeah.
They got to fix that.
Though, honestly, that character looks like trash in the comics, too.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Well, they should have given him a glow up.
Agree.
No exceptions.
Agree. Okay. Moving on. Phase 5.
Phase 5 already?
Yeah, we get a buzz.
Holy cow. Let's go.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is a toughie.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready, set, go. I'm also up on this because of Kang.
Because of Kang.
Now, I've heard people make this argument that it's not good for Kang because they defeat Kang. But I'm like, that's kind of the point, is that Kang can't be defeated. That's what makes him scary. They defeat an iteration of him. Like, they're like, oh my gosh, they introduce the next Thanos type character and he immediately gets killed by Ant-Man. I'm like, but he doesn't.
But isn't the argument, and you're right, he gets sucked into that vortex.
Yeah.
Isn't the argument though that he is not the prime?
He's not Kang Prime.
Kang, right? So he is not the strongest. He's not learned or lived long enough. He's not he who remains. Like it's an easy argument to win.
Yep.
So sit down, haters.
It was the first thing I had seen that made me excited about the future of the MCU.
Yes. Like
Wakanda Forever, great. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. But what's the future? That was more looking backward. It was more like, how do we move on? Mm-hmm. And it was emotional and it was beautiful and it was awesome. But I'm like, what's next? And that one got me hyped for the future. So I am thumbs up, even though I think the parts of that movie are garbaggio. Guardians Volume 3.
Oh, no brainer.
Ready, go.
Boom.
Dude, I freaking love that movie. I think it's amazing. I think that trilogy slaps. I think that trilogy is probably better than the Captain America trilogy.
It absolutely is. Because Captain America 1, not incredible.
Yeah.
They just got the pacing is wrong in that movie.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you have a lot of just
and
stops.
Civil War is good, but Civil War is not like perfect.
Yeah, it goes because we've got Captain America 1, Winter Soldier, Civil War. Mm-hmm. Am I missing one? Just the 3. Okay, great. Yeah, so it goes Winter Soldier, Civil War.
Winter Soldier is perfect.
It is perfect.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that movie at all.
It's good. All right, next. The Marvels, the most recent one. The Marvels.
All right, I need a second to put my head on straight because that's so recent. I have to remember.
No, and don't. Ready?
Wait, and to think about, right, in the full scope of the MCU, right?
Yeah, is it a positive for the MCU or a negative?
Okay, I'm ready.
Go. Yep.
Down.
We'll talk about the Marvel's plot stuff later. We're not going to get into it.
Right now.
No, not right now. All right, shows. Sorry, shows. Real quick. Secret Invasion and Loki are the only two.
That's it.
So far. Secret Invasion.
Now, did you watch all of both of them?
I didn't watch Secret Invasion at all.
Oh, so you get to vote.
I won't vote.
That's not why my social studies teacher in grade school always said, if you don't vote, you lose the right to complain. So I've always voted.
Yeah, I won't complain about Secret Invasion. I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'm going to do Secret Invasion. Ready?
Go.
Awful.
Everybody says it's a giant fart noise, which is why I have not gone back to it. So there we are.
I think we need a fart noise on the board here so we can
There it is. All right, and Loki season 2, last one.
Oh.
Love it. And we'll get into why in a second here. All right. But before we do that, and before we go into like what's next for the MCU now that we know the lay of the land, and we'll have Kirk do a tally there before we move into the next section, if you can. We're going to talk about our title sponsor, our founding sponsor, St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. And you guys, you have to go visit St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. We have the best group behind us here at this podcast because they have great customer service. They have great smoothies. They'll get you in there, out of there, out the door. It's all drive-through. You can go through the drive-through. You can go into the store in some locations, what have you. It's the best. It's quick. And it's a meal replacement on the go, which is exactly what you need. It's the busy time of year. Everybody's buzzing around trying to get Christmas shopping done. You know, you've got holiday parties for work and kids have school holiday parties and all these different obligations. It's an incredibly busy time of the year. Wouldn't it be nice to just swing through and get your lunch in a cup? You can just drink it real quick, or you can try one of their brand new smoothie bowls. And they've got new flavors of those smoothie bowls for you. The new ones that just came out are both chocolatey and delicious. The first one's the acai cocoa haze. It's got that acai base. It's got granola. It's got cacao nibs. It's got chocolate hazelnut drizzle. It's got all the good stuff. Plus, of course, fresh strawberries, fresh bananas, all those organic fruits and veggies. And then there's the cocoa pitaya, which is the one that we love to say on this podcast. It's got the pitaya base. It's got all the chocolatey goodness. It's got the hazelnut drizzle. You got to try these smoothie bowls. I have to admit I was skeptical, Kirk, because I am resistant to change.
Oh, I know that.
It's part of me. It's just part of me. Mm-hmm. I like things to be the way that they are. And the smoothies are so good that I'm like, I don't need a bowl. But then I had the bowl, and I was like, they may be onto something here.
Yeah, I was scared to try the bowl at first.
It's scary.
Because I love smoothies so much.
Yeah.
I like change, but I was like, I really want to like this too. And they have the coldest, in the most positive way.
Yes.
The coldest first bite and maybe 50th bite. Like, it's so perfectly temperature controlled. I guess because of the contents and how it's put together. It really feels like a treat, and it's really healthy for you.
It's absolutely very good for you. You got to get out and try it. Try the smoothie bowls, try the smoothies, whatever you like. They've got it at Smoothie King. You can have it your way. You can, just like Burger King, but this is Smoothie King. I meant to say you can rule the day with Smoothie King. No free ads, Burger King. Don't get any ideas. So get out there and rule the day. Smoothies with a purpose. You can check them out at 660 Carlisle Avenue here in Belleville, or at 3401 Namioki Road in Granite City. That's just a couple of the locations. Stop in today at your St. Louis area Smoothie Kings. All right, Kirk, real quick.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Marvel in Crisis, and I want to talk about the recent developments. So Marvel in Crisis. Oh, wait, do we want to do a quick tally?
We could do a tally. I got it ready.
How many ups, how many downs?
Well, we also have to decide about when we disagree. We had one.
That's a mid.
That's a mid. Okay, great. So we had 10 ups.
Okay.
10 thumbs ups. 9 thumbs down, and 1 mid, property being Eternals, of course. So
it's like halvesies.
It's right in the middle.
Which is how it feels. Mm-hmm. It feels like you just can't count on it.
Yeah.
And like, it's either, it could be good, but it could be bad. That's how it feels with the MCU. And it used to be like, this is going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's really hurt their brand equity. So that's why I want to talk about this Variety article that came out a little while ago called Marvel in Crisis. It was a huge buzz. And there were some huge developments in that. And then I want to talk about the more recent developments. But let's start with Marvel in Crisis so we don't have to get into the spoilers. First up, they had a couple of things in that I want to focus on. One, they're talking about backup plans for Kang.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. The Marvels. I want to talk about the Marvels a little bit because that was part of this article too about reshoots and the production and all that. Captain America, what's it called now? Brave New World. It was called New World Order. Now it's called Brave New World. Testing poorly. And then them possibly kicking around the idea of bringing back ScarJo, RDJ, the older Avengers. Okay, so let's start with backup plans for Kang. So now the update on Jonathan Majors, because I think people are wondering about this. The jury has been selected. The trial is starting. So they had to figure out the jury situation, and they had to close off the case to the public.
Yeah.
Because they said there could be some inflammatory stuff.
Wow.
That was going to be talked about and released, and they're worried about having public response in the courtroom. So,
whoa.
Don't know what that means yet. Obviously, in a court of law and before the law, he's innocent until proven guilty. In the court of public opinion, I would say he's already been convicted as guilty. People are kind of over him because it's one of those things where it's like, if you were even in a situation adjacent to what you're being tried for, then we want nothing to do with you. And I think people jump the gun on that stuff, and we need to wait until all the facts are out. But
yeah, I mean, like, look at Kevin Spacey, right? Like, acquitted on all accounts, right? It seems like he's a good guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, not a good guy, I don't think.
But Jonathan Majors, I'm holding out hope. I do believe he's
innocent. I hope. Yeah. I do really hope. It's very hard, and it's very troubling when these things happen. I hope he's the victim. I hope he's right. I hope whenever his PR team said he's the victim here, I'm like, I hope you're right. I really do.
Do you know what would make a great movie? Not to detour, but I'm going to detour. Ready?
Yeah.
A great movie. So it would be fantastic to, like, when you think about the jury members, like, who are the jury members that they chose who has never seen a Marvel movie?
Yes.
To, like, erase the bias from them as they see this. It'd be great to, like, a movie about a celebrity going into trial for this, and someone knows that they could potentially be on the jury, and so they create this entire persona where they're not, and then they're like this psychopath, like, you know, like Helga and Hey Arnold, right? Like, they have a shrine to the celebrity, and I feel like it'd be a great A24 film where they secretly get on the jury.
So they know the person, but they're pretending they don't?
They idolize the celebrity.
Okay.
They idolize the celebrity. They pretend like they don't know them during jury selection, and then they get on the jury, and then chaos ensues.
Sweet, man.
I'm writing it.
I'm happy for you. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Anyway.
That'll all be cut. You'll never hear this.
If you're lucky. So we don't know what's going to happen with Jonathan Majors. But in this article, they were kind of speculating that, like, they might just be done with him in general. And they might move on to something like, say, a Doctor Doom. Now, here's the thing. Are you of the belief that Kang could pretty easily be written out of the situation? And let's not talk about Loki season 2, but let's say pre-Loki season 2. How did you feel about Kang? Like, when this article came out, we hadn't seen anything Loki related.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen the Loki finale. How do you feel about Kang and where he's at?
I think that if Marvel chooses to write him off, they will just redirect our attention because Loki won't be a part of any kind of soon upcoming films. They will not mention They will not mention Loki.
Oh, you mean they will intentionally sideline him?
Mm-hmm. They will not mention the TVA. None of those characters will be in any near or future MCU film. They'll pivot to Doctor Doom. And again, this is assuming that he does get a guilty verdict. And they'll just pretend like that still exists in the world, but it's not the current threat.
We'll swing back around.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
That's how I think they'll play it. And they could play that whether there's a guilty or not guilty charge.
Well, they can if it's a guilty.
Swinging. They won't swing back.
They'll just leave it out there,
right?
In nebulous.
They'll never talk to it again. If it's not
just
guilty,
floats away.
Then they have the option. Like, do people believe he's guilty?
What about a recast?
Recast would be interesting. It'd be difficult.
Would it?
It'd be difficult. It can happen, especially if time allowing time to pass, because Kane can take on different forms. Mm-hmm. So that part's easy. But getting the right actor when you already had an actual just phenomenal,
really good actor
casting. So I don't know who that would be.
I think I might be pro recast.
Say it again.
I might be pro recast.
Pro recast. Okay. Nice.
Just to move on.
Yeah.
From it.
Get out of this mess that we're in.
Yeah, because it's like you can't. I don't know. If I'm Marvel, like I can't have that hanging around.
No.
And they got bigger fish to fry.
Not
what I'm saying.
Not with everything they're already fighting against. No.
Okay, so let's talk about this. The Marvels and Captain America: Brave New World. The Marvels tested badly. Mm-hmm. There were a ton of reshoots. Nia DaCosta was overseeing those reshoots. They were expensive. Nia DaCosta, because the movie was in post-prod, was also moving on to her next project, Hedda.
Yep.
With Tessa Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Marvels comes out, and the movie does badly at the box office, and it does badly critically. And Bob Iger, most recently this week, was like, this is a movie that did not have enough executive oversight. It was filmed during COVID, and there wasn't enough executive oversight. Then you've got Captain America: Brave New World that is testing poorly with people.
Ouch.
What they've seen. So there's reshoots coming there. At what point, I mean, do you think Bob Iger's right? Do you think it's something that's coming from the executive level? Like they need more Feige attention or they need more something? Or is it just like, has the MCU reached a cap above which it cannot climb? Mm-hmm. Because there's too much weight of all the other storylines that you have to juggle that like the movies just can't be that good anymore.
Oh,
is that possible?
That is definitely a possibility. I think that when all of these projects were active, it was the thin stretch of Feige's availability.
Yeah.
Very present, right? Like he can't possibly be able to make all of the individual decisions and be on set for all of those.
Yeah,
impossible.
Right.
So now I think maybe this is the end of all of those films, right? Maybe even Brave New World is the last of it, and maybe he's sitting in on it now and fixing it. I don't think he was still available for even the reshoots of the Marvels because should have been better.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe now is the turning point. Maybe he said, all right, everything else has been officially put on hold. We're in good shape for me to actually step back in. But I don't like the idea of there weren't enough executives there.
Yeah.
That part is like a weird, terrible billionaire phrase.
To me, it's all about scripts. And I just don't think the scripts have been good recently.
Yeah.
I don't think the stories have been good. Because one of the things that came out somewhat recently was that during the Bob Chapek era, both Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige, Kathleen Kennedy, who is the head of Lucasfilm, were forced to announce projects at Disney Investor Day, which I think, that was Bob Chapek's thing, Disney Investor Day. The one where they announced all these projects. They were forced to announce projects they weren't prepared to announce yet.
Yeah. And
so they had to keep all these promises that they probably wouldn't have otherwise. And some of those movies, like the Rogue Squadron, Patty Jenkins Star Wars movie, doesn't exist anymore. Mm-hmm. Like a bunch of movies have been moved off. A bunch of things were created, but like the executive thing forced the issue, I think, because they're like, we need projects from you. And so that makes the scripts bad because it's like, they need projects from us. We got to go. Versus just being like, when Marvel was in its heyday and just like crushing it, they were just in a zone where they were like, hey, I've got a story for Iron Man that perfectly ties into this. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, I've got a story for the Guardians of the Galaxy that rocks. Is there a way we could tie that in? And they were just kind of buzzing that way where it was like story first, everything else comes later. Mm-hmm. Make the movie good and then tie it in. And right now they're like focusing on like, how do we tie it in first and then make a story around that? Similar to what we were talking about with the Wish review, with the Wish review this last week.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. And that's the problem. So it feels like, to me, you could still make good movies with loose connections between them, but that exists on their own, but they're just not doing it.
Yeah, you have to, when you're writing the story, it has to organically happen. So as the writer, if you're not, if you don't have a weapon at your face by the executive, like, make sure it ties back to Iron Man.
Yeah.
I think that you can take that note, right? Say, I want it to tie into this project. Do with that what you will. I want to see your first draft, okay? Not if it doesn't tie into that, you're fired. Pressure. And so if they can organically just space out, do their process, write it out, put the tie-ins, put the breadcrumbs in there, I think that is old, original strength of MCU. And now you're exactly right. It is only how does it connect, when can it connect, and is it enough of a headline when it does pop off?
Yep.
And that's silly. It's super silly.
Yeah, I agree. And I think they need more writer-directors too.
Yes.
The movies that have been most successful have been with writer-director types. Like, the Russos didn't write their movies, but they have the ability to do so. Joss Whedon, James Gunn, these are the types of people who have had success. Let's lean that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Finally, bringing back old Avengers. Are you pro or con that idea?
I am pro if they come in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
And not before. Because I don't want to see them revived when we've already seen the end of their debt.
You don't want them revived in a cheap way.
I don't want them revived to bring people back to the theater.
Yeah.
I don't. But if they're in Secret Wars, that storyline makes sense for them to come back.
Yeah, I think everybody expects them to come back in Secret Wars in some capacity. That's like a foregone conclusion. It would almost be more surprising if they didn't, right?
Right.
But I can see why they would be like, listen, we got to find some way to get people locked back in. Let's make one banger of a movie with these guys somehow.
You know what? Here's how I could see like a small role if they're if they're dimension jumping, right? I think of it like it's DC, but they did Crisis on Earth with the CW shows and whatnot.
Yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yep. And so they went to the Smallville that Tom Welling was Superman, right? As a grown man, and he gave up his powers to have his family, right? I could see that where they're dimension jumping and they see a person that we've seen before, but they have no powers, but their identity, their core, their personality, their values are there, and maybe they just need to talk to that person to unlock something or gain knowledge of something that's still like in that person in another dimension, and that would be special. But having them have the powers and having them have like a full-blown, more than a 15-minute scene, I do not agree with.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Secret Wars is the place to do it.
Yeah.
I think before that it feels cheap. So, all right. So that's the Marvel and Crisis situation. Let's talk about more recent developments than that. Okay.
Like what?
Like the more recent developments than that.
Like what? What are they?
But this is where you have to put your earmuffs on if you're not apprised of the recent things. Okay. So let's talk first. This idea about Marvel Spotlight, which they rolled out with Echo, the Echo trailer, which is anything that's like street level stakes that will not tie into the greater continuity. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a good separation.
Yeah.
When I think about it, I think of like the Netflix shows. If those would have directly continued, those would all be Spotlight.
Yep.
Very simple. Except for Iron Fist. We're never talking about that again.
Yeah. And I think it's good for things to not all have to tie into the continuity.
Yeah.
Like, I think they can at some point, but it's like, you don't want people watching Echo thinking, oh, when's Spider-Man going to show up? You know, like if it's really just a small scale story, the comics do a great job of that. So do it in the movies and TV shows too. I think I'm pro that.
You know, like in Spider-Man Homecoming, we have Vulture, who is a construction worker, and his entire job gets wiped out because of picking up the alien pieces. They shut down the whole work site. It's millions of dollars for him. he loses his job, so on. So but they don't have to connect to the Guardians at that point. They don't have to connect to the Skrulls or anything like that. They're just saying, hey, this happened. It's in the same world. And now we're gonna learn the most about Peter Parker here.
Right.
Those types of tie-ins are what make the MCU most successful, not the incredibly labored crossovers.
Yep, agree. All right, now 2 last developments, because we've got the Marvel Spotlight, which you and I are both in favor of.
Yes.
That's good. The 2 most recent developments we have to talk about are this. 1, X-Men.
Yes.
Appearing in the post-credit scene for the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the post-credit scene? How do you feel about X-Men entering the MCU now? Obviously, we've got Deadpool 3 coming out next year. That's the only MCU movie releasing next year. What's your take?
On the X-Men entering now.
On the X-Men entering now and entering the way that they did.
Mm-hmm. I think that the post-credit scene was well done, but I also feel like it was a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
To say, oh, here you watch the Marvels.
Yes.
Hey, look at this little tidbit. At the
It
end
felt,
of it.
not to interrupt, but it felt gross.
Yeah.
A little bit. Like, here's the X-Men. I don't know. It almost like, I hate to say this, because I think the X-Men will help the MCU. And I think that they can do a lot of cool stuff. And I think Hugh Jackman coming back and all the cool stuff that they're going to do is going to be great. But that was the one post-credit scene, other than like the Harry Styles and the Charlize Theron and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one where I was like, is this the jump the shark moment?
Ooh, is it?
It felt a little like that to me. I don't know why. It just immediately was like, I don't care.
Yeah, why tie it into the Marvels? I mean, you could have had them meet at any other point in time.
Yes, as the set falls apart behind us.
Oh, what fell?
Goku. R.I.P. Goku. Yeah, I don't know. I can't even quantify it, but there's something yucky about that post-credit scene. It just did not leave a good taste in my mouth, and I wanted the X-Men scene to be so sick. Like, I almost feel like it should have been in a movie, and it should have come out of absolute left field.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, like the X jet rolls in, and you just fall out of your chair.
Kind of like when Matt Murdock shows up in No Way Home. It's like, where am I?
That is comic booky to me.
Yeah.
Like, those are the types of things that when Kevin Feige talks about, like, oh, in the comics they cross over all the time. That's how it should be.
Yes.
Not like these cheap little scenes that you make. I don't know. There's something. It's not a full-fledged opinion, but there's something weird about that.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Loki, season 2. You and I both loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Loki embracing a new role as God of Stories and being the architect of the multiverse as we know it now. And having this sort of like metaphysical, meta existence where he understands all of these stories and can tap into it.
Yeah.
Like, are you hyped about that? If so, how hyped? Like, does that change the way that you view the MCU going forward?
I think that I like it if they quickly explain, can he get up from that throne?
Yeah.
Or is he stuck? Because there's this moment of relief and pain.
Yes.
All at the same time.
It's like he's saying goodbye.
Yes.
To everyone.
That can someone come and visit him? Will he speak to someone telepathically? Can he let go of any of those, or will that unravel all of what he saved?
I think he will hang there, and I think that Thor will come looking for him.
Excellent.
Which could be a sick plot for Thor 5.
Yes.
And I think that they will need him come Secret Wars to help stop whatever it is, Doctor Doom, Kang, etc. And at that point, he will intervene.
That'd be great.
I think that could be really cool.
And then you bring the TVA in. Mobius meets Thor, and he tries to explain it, and it's just like, like touching his body.
Yeah.
Like, come on, wow.
Yeah. I think I don't know, the scene, which I think is like just an instant iconic scene. I know we're like a zillion minutes into this episode, but the web of different timelines flipping and turning into like whatever they call that in the comics, like the Elder Tree or whatever. I can't remember, but like the Norse tree thing.
Yes.
And like clicking that, like, oh, Loki is now going to own this. That was an iconic moment. That was like a moment where you like get the goosebumps and you're like, that is sick. And it's like, wow, whoever thought of this is really freaking smart and it works so well.
Yeah. So if you're trying to tell your friends and family, like, what are the essential TV series, Loki is absolutely on that list.
I think it's Loki and WandaVision, and that's it.
That might be right.
To be honest, like
that might be.
They might be the only two essentials.
Maybe you want to watch the first episode only of Miss Marvel, and Moon Knight if we ever see him again.
Yeah.
Because Moon Knight's a great series, but Miss Marvel, I think you need to watch the first episode to really feel the family humor in there and get to know those characters very briefly, and then you're good to go.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Loki got me hyped for sure. The X-Men didn't, which is like the opposite of how I expected to feel.
Yeah.
Because I'm very pro X-Men, love the X-Men. I think they're awesome, but we'll see.
What a weird world we're living in.
Indeed.
A weird state of the MCU.
Well said, Kirk.
Thank you. Would you give that joke a thumbs up?
I would.
Or thank you.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up for that. And thank you all for joining us on this very long edition of State of the MCU. Thank you for sticking with us through all of the different threads and timelines that we were managing, much like Loki. Give us your thoughts on the MCU, where things stand, how you feel about it, how you feel about the future, how you feel about the X-Men entering the MCU or whatever else is going on. Let us know in the comments down below, or if you're listening to the podcast, join us on Discord. Find us on social media. All the links are down below in the description. You can get a hold of us and we can chat about it. We love to chat about it. Obviously, we've been doing it for the last hour. So thank you guys for being here. We're so happy to have you. We have to end, as always, with a special thank you to our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs, our naming sponsor. I say something different every time.
I don't know.
St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. And the band Rhetoric. You're about to hear their amazing tunes right now. We'll see you next time.
Talk to you then.